Hi everyone, welcome to Casual Watch Talk Sunday Social. Should be a very lively panel today. We are joined by special guest Marc from Long Island Watches. Thanks for joining us, Marc.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and also Lucy from Watchbox Diaries. Thanks for joining us, Lucy.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. And Todd's here with me.
I'm also here. It's okay. It's fine. All right. It's all right. I'm used to it.
And Todd.
So we're going to have a lively debate about one of Marc's uploads that he recently did. But before we do that, let's do a wristwatch check. So Lucy, what are you wearing? You're in the hot seat there.
Apparently, just before we got on here, I was supposed to double wrist, so I've quickly grabbed another one. So I've got my trusty Hamilton khaki. I was out dog walking earlier, and this is probably the safest option for that. And then the Gerard Perregaux 38mm Laureato.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Oh, really cool. Wow. Okay.
Not
nice.
bad.
Starting strong.
Yeah. Big
No
game.
pressure.
Todd, what are you wearing?
So I'm wearing a mix. So I'm going to double wrist also. So the trusty old man watch, the 1926 in two-tone. So definitely old man. Yep. Yeah, that's 36mm, which is the perfect size for this watch. I don't care what anybody says. And then the Spinnaker Hull chronograph.
Oh, cool.
Just for fun.
Awesome.
Wow.
Cool. And then Marc, what are you wearing?
Can I assume you people don't normally double wrist?
Yeah.
So
Is it just for me?
Well, it's mostly for you, but I also do double wrist, but the other is usually an Apple Watch.
I would say it's probably a smartwatch or something. So I've got another 36. It's my dad's Datejust.
Nice.
And then, of course, I'm wearing an Islander. This is the Journey watch that we did about a month or so ago. It was a watch that we did for charity. So
very nice.
Still wearing them.
And then I am wearing. Let me just do a solo layout. In fact, Marc, do you know what this one is, or at least what the bracelet is?
Well, I know what the bracelet is. Oh, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's a BRAC 85.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it kind of gives the Seiko that sort of, I don't know, like Batmanish vibe, I suppose.
I thought you wanted me to say the name of the bracelet, and I was like, oh, he's trying to get me. Although I can say it here.
Yes, no, it was one purchased full price from Long Island Watches. Brings us nicely to the. So, guys, we're going to talk about an interesting upload Marc did, but keep the comments coming in the chat. Keep your questions coming for Marc or the rest of the panel as we go through. So, Marc, shall I introduce it? You made an upload, and it's got, I think, over 62,000 views now in like 2 weeks. Really interesting, and it was about how, for the Islander brand specifically, you don't send watches to reviewers as payment for watches. So it was kind of, in fact, do you want to intro it? Because you had quite an interesting perspective on it. But...
I guess. Yeah, I mean, so as long as I've had the brand, I've always believed, even as long as I've had the store, let's go back to the first watches I ever give out for review, way before my own brand. I worked with, I worked with Zach when he was just starting Worn and Wound. This is going back now, long time. And I sent him watches to review and he would send them back and stuff. So I never believed in giving away a watch because I don't know. It never really sat well with me. I always likened it to like a restaurant reviewer walking into a restaurant and asking for a meal for free. I don't know, just didn't sit right. And then when I started the brand, I didn't do it either. People weren't actively asking me. I should probably be clear on that. I wasn't actively being pursued to give out watches for review. I just never did it. I didn't like go and seek out people and say, hey, I'm going to send you a watch, give it a review. What we wound up doing was we wound up developing a whole rack of Islanders that are called demos. And usually it would be like the photography sample. We get the watches in, we got to send one out for photo and all the plastic is removed, its size, this and that. And we just kept them on the side. And if people said, hey, I want to review an Islander, we would send them that one. And then we would send them, either tell them send it back or we give them a label. And they would send it back to us. And that's kind of just the way I've always run the brand. There's been a few channels that the few channels that have definitely, I guess I'll give you the whole story. Definitely the channels that reviewed them typically are much smaller channels because they're the ones that are just looking for watches. They can't afford to buy them. They're just looking for products to review to grow their subscribership. And I've had no problem with that. I understand that everyone needs to make money. But, hey, it's a library. You want to watch, take it. If you're not paying for it and I'm not giving it, if I'm not paying for it and I'm not giving it to you, there's fairness in everything you're going to do. Larger channels typically don't review them, and I'm not going to, obviously I won't name names, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to besmirch anybody. That's not what is not even the point of the video. The reason the video came to be was because one of these much, much, much smaller YouTubers, this is the second time we sent the person a watch. And there was the understanding that they were going to send it back. And it was time to send it back. They said, oh, I thought I would just keep it. And I flew off the handle. And I said, you know what? It was Ryan that was handling the conversation with the person. I said, just give me the email. I'll redact it and I'm going to post it on Instagram. And he's like, he talks me down. He's like, Mark, calm down. He's like, I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it. I said, okay, you handle it. And then I was like, you know what? I just got to do a video. I'll do a quick video about this just because it's on my mind. And that was the impetus for the video. Like I said, I think most larger channels, and I'll be honest, don't review them simply because I don't think they want to review them because of my standing in the community, and they don't want to give a bad review, and they don't want to look like they're in my pocket, so they can't give a good review. This is just my kind of, my thoughts that go through my mind because I kind of understand it. I've been on YouTube as long as most people. I've been in the online community for 20 years. So everyone kind of knows me. I kind of feel that people might be afraid to give a bad review, which I kind of understand that. But that's why we're here. That's, you contacted me after the video went live and hey, sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I definitely had some. I definitely had some thoughts about it. I think some of the points that you made that I had a little bit of a counter argument to on it. But before I do that, before I dive in, like Lucy or Todd, did you want to dive in on any comments? I know Lucy, you watched it before, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just an additional question for some more information on what you just said, Mark, was when you loaned the watch out before they emailed back and said, oh, I thought I was just going to keep it. Did you have the conversation? Or
yeah, this is the second time the person has gotten a watch from us, so they definitely knew that this was the arrangement.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So they just decided.
Yeah, either I don't know if it was just, I don't know if it was okay, they just kind of conveniently forgot about it, or there's like, you know what? And believe me, I get it. You pour your heart and soul into review, you shoot for half a day or a day, you B-roll, and then you do, you do the editing and everything else. And it's time, and I get it. But again, that's just it's not my fault. The whole, compensation thing on YouTube sucks. It's a shitty situation for everybody. And I think people think that you have 100,000 subscribers, you must be banking $5 to 10 grand a month. And it's nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah.
We've got another special guest, Chris. Watch Chris. Hey,
man.
Long Island.
Long Island in the house. Also, somehow we're wearing the same shirt.
Oh, how awkward. Chris, well, before we dive in, Mark just did his intro of the video, so we're just at that conversation talking about it. But we've got to do a wristwatch check, and apparently you've got to be wearing two, not to put you on the spot.
Yay!
I get them confused. So I have an Islander on.
Oh,
yay!
That's Northport, right? Is that the Northport?
That's a Greenport. You're close. You got a port, just the wrong.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And I have a Parmigiani minute retro print.
Oof, nice.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, actually, Chris, if you're in a position, you left a comment on Mark's video, didn't you? Do you want to go over what you said? What your view on it was?
Yeah, I didn't get it because Mark gave me this watch for free, so I don't. I don't know why we're even having this video. No, so from my so basically, I tried to write it. I'm not really that eloquent. I really don't. I'm not great at expressing myself. But what I tried to say in that comment was that essentially, from my perspective as an enthusiast and someone who has a YouTube channel, I'm really an enthusiast. My goal of having this channel was to just talk about watches because the people around me don't want to talk to me about watches. So I started a YouTube channel, and this is basically my outlet. And I talk about watches all the time. There are a lot of brands, there are a lot of watches out there that, they're not going to, there are brands who offer you watches immediately. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say yes if you're going to offer me a watch. It's not going to change my review in any way. But if I don't like the watch, I'm not going to review it on my channel. So that's part of it. And the other part of it is there are certain watches that I want to feature on my channel. Islander is one of them. I reached out to Mark and I said, let me borrow a watch. And I actually borrowed them from friends as well because I wanted to feature them on my channel. So I went about it that way. And eventually I actually bought this watch from Mark, no discount. And it's, I like it. I was going on vacation. I wanted a specific watch to wear because I was traveling overseas, and I decided to buy this watch to wear, and that's it. So, I do have sponsored content, and not all of my content is sponsored, but it is what it is. That was my comment basically.
So I want to say, when someone tags a video as sponsored, I think that's great, and I absolutely see nothing wrong with it. 100%. I will say that Chris probably knows this. Maybe I haven't said this to you. If I find out that someone I know that is large in the space buys a watch for me, I get mad and they don't tell me. I'm like, tell me you want to watch next time. And half the time I will just give someone a watch. Just because I feel like there's a certain camaraderie and brotherly respect. But it's not done. It's not done hoping that there's a good review. But YouTube allows you to say, hey, this is sponsored content. And if you're using that, I think it's fine. A lot of my, I don't want to say anger, but it might be. A lot of my deep down thoughts come from, it's not even YouTubers. It's much larger conglomerates, and you know who they are. And if you want them to write something about you, there is a 5-digit figure that you have to meet to get anywhere near the top of the website. And that to me is just like, I don't really understand that, like at all. I don't get it. It's, the economics in me gets it. But as far as how is that fair, I don't get it.
But if you, like back in the day when newspapers were a thing and that's how you communicated, you would pay quite a large, substantial amount of money to have the biggest spread in the newspaper.
In advertisement.
But
I think a lot of advertorials, I call them advertorials because they're kind of broaching the line. And you have to sometimes look to see at the bottom, they'll put something that says this is sponsored content, or we put affiliate links in here or something like that. But no, I get it. I mean, everybody's got to make money.
The New York Times just released their watch magazine. I don't know if you guys get it. I still get the New York Times, and that magazine. So my wife worked for Panerai for 10 years, 17 years. Sorry. And she was there for a very long time. They used to pay $100,000 for like a half a page or something like that to be in that magazine every year. Those brands, that magazine is millions and millions of dollars of advertisement. And if you go through it, it doesn't look like an advertisement. It looks like this is like a genuine editorial. Yeah. It doesn't look like that. But there's, a blog to watch is a really good
example.
It's a really good example because if you are reading some of their articles, sometimes they used to put, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to put the author as sponsored.
Yeah, so I have an advertisement that just went up there last week, and it's in the sponsored post section, and it says authored by sponsored post.
Right. But other outlets don't do that.
Yeah, I get it.
Hodinkee doesn't do it. Time and Tide, I don't think they do it. Worn and Wound, I love Worn and Wound. They don't do it. There are a lot of them that don't do it. And I think some of the frustrations that I think come from YouTubers, is that if we receive a watch that costs $300, really, what's the value behind that? It's not a lot. Just leave it at that. I mean, the cost of making a video, it costs more than the $300 for me, at least it does.
Yeah.
So in the end, I have to mark that as sponsored, even though really that watch does not affect my the outcome of the video. I'm going to make the video the exact same way I would have made the video if it was free or loaned in. The difference is that there may be an article on Worn and Wound, and the company may have spent $5,000, $10,000 to get that article made, and it's not marked as sponsored. So I'm getting a watch which is equivalent of getting like $100 versus them getting they're probably getting a watch in addition to the $10,000 that they're getting, and they don't mark them sponsored. So it's really, the rules are a little bit wonky, especially when it comes to sponsored content for outlets like that who make their own rules.
Yeah,
So,
I think. Sorry, just one of the points that I think, I know, Mark, you mentioned about people doing this as sort of like a hobby or like like an enthusiast doing a channel.
Sure.
And I don't know if Chris or Lucy agree with this because they both create content, but I feel like, and this isn't anything to do with you, Mark, but I feel like the YouTube now, the algorithm, it forces you to, it's no longer a hobby because you have to you are feeding this constantly hungry content machine.
Mhm.
You're essentially you're having to invest considerably in better cameras and stuff like that. Not necessarily because you personally are as an enthusiast wanting to improve your watch photography. You're kind of being forced down that avenue because the game is constantly being upped. So when I sometimes push back on brands, because Chris, Lucy, probably, I don't know how you, I've had 3 emails just today asking to review watches, is that they tend to see YouTubers, I think, as the single channel of, if I send it to this YouTuber, they're my advertising. So to Chris's point of the watch perhaps being $100, you end up being a freelance marketing specialist for insert micro brand name for essentially a free watch or whatever. So yeah, I don't think, I know a lot of people, I think, Todd, you said it to me once, didn't you? Said, oh, well, because I think I was talking back and forth about the view count on something. You said, oh, well, do it because you enjoy it. And I think I realized then, actually, I don't enjoy doing 10 hours worth of content and then it getting, a couple of hundred views or whatever. It is since YouTube puts a financial target on your video, when that ends up being, a couple of dollars for a video that's got, whatever, 1,000 views.
Well, I mean, that's that difficult balancing point. Cause I don't know, Lucy or Watch Chris, there are other outside of this watch world, what they do, but you fall down a rabbit hole. I think that's a dangerous, slippery slope that Mark is you're referring to. Either you're going to do it as a job or you are doing it as an enthusiast. And if you're doing it as an enthusiast, chasing that YouTube algorithm, I just feel like is a losing game. You are never going to be satisfied because that target keeps moving. So they're not your employer. And as Mark said, it's not my fault. YouTube doesn't pay well. It's you go into this knowing I'm probably not going to make my living doing this. And if you're trying to, that's a different story. But I think then that's when you have to be young and dumb and just all in, and you're willing to eat Pop-Tarts and macaroni and cheese for the next couple of years till you become Teddy Baldessar.
Well, I think that, I mentioned this with somebody recently. I forgot where it was. It's on someone's channel. And I had said that if I was starting this today, what I have, there's no way it would grow. I certainly don't. I don't have the quality. I don't have the scripting. I don't have the editing. I don't have any of that crap. It would never grow to what it is. I'm just lucky that I started the channel. I don't know what it is, 8-9 years ago. 2015-ish or so. And it was very small, the whole community, and there wasn't a lot to pick from. So if you like watches, you started following me. Whereas, nowadays I'm amazed as, I scroll through the phone and I look at all these channels and I'm like, wow, this person's photography is phenomenal. And I look at the video and I'm like, it came out a day ago and it's got 50 views. How do you keep doing it? It's like getting beat down. But again, that's like I said, that's like a YouTube problem. It's not any other problem. But the early adopters tend to be the ones that succeed the most.
That's a huge point. I watched. I saw Casey Neistat did a speech out at NAB last year. Arguably one of the most successful guys in the YouTube space.
Was it the Euripides one where he's going up the slope?
I know.
A good one. Oh, okay.
No, he said the same thing. He was like, if I tried to be me today, I wouldn't have made it. It was just, he was there, had a rhythm, and everybody loved him. But to duplicate it now, like to your point, Mark, very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I will say, Mark, though, you did something that like a lot of brands, when we're talking about, watches, brands sending watches for free and stuff, you do something that 99% of watch brands don't want to do. You actually create your own content, and you started your channel off. All your videos were like value, weren't they? They were like, this is what an automatic watch is. This is how you set a watch. This is this. You were deposited in the emotional bank account, or whatever the marketing term is, where you were offering just like an incredible amount of value for free. Yeah. So people were really looking forward to you. Yeah.
From the start, every video, until today, nearly every video is a sales call. And I am proud to say that I'm not hiding anything. So I figured, this is, I don't know, that's like 7 years ago. Why not just give out some knowledge at the same time? That was the watch and learn thing. And that way people kind of feel like it's goodwill on my part. People feel like they might be getting something from it and maybe more attached to the channel, something else besides, just watch reviews. However, there is like a notable dip on my channel growth from September 2019 onwards. That was right when I launched my own brand, and the channel growth slowed really fast. Once I started promoting, every time I did one of my own videos, I could actually just see the subscribers either dropping off or the growth rate, severely slow, to the point where I was afraid it was going to go negative one day. And then I got some of my ducks back in a row, and, I got back into positive, but still, even today, it's at a snail's growth crawl. I think once you start promoting your own stuff, that's I feel like that's the end of the line for you. But maybe, hey, it's not a bad thing for me. I certainly do fine. YouTube is not where the money comes from. YouTube is just another marketing, device. If a video of mine gets 5,000 views in a day, some people might look and say, that's wonderful. Some people might look and say, well, that's disgusting. You have 200,000 subscribers. And I'm like, yeah, but that 5,000 view video might have sold 50 watches, and that's all the difference. So it was just a different game that you switched to play.
Yeah. I think that was the good thing that you did, is you know how it is to do content. Whereas I think some of the other brands that we perhaps get approached by, they are especially. I mean, I do a lot of pro bono, whatever you call it, like free watch reviews. I never actually implicitly ask for somebody to send me a watch. It's a bonus if they do send me a watch. In fact, somebody let me keep a really nice watch, and I feel like a bit embarrassed that the video didn't do well. So I actually offered to send it back, but I mean, that's my own issue. But essentially, I think a lot of brands are like, oh, hey, we'll lend you a watch. I had it twice this week. Oh yeah, we're going to lend you this watch, and then we'll send it back. And it's like, well, hang on a second. I've not seen you. Your Instagram is dead. I've not seen you on any other channels. There's the only other uploads you've got are ones that you've made on YouTube or like really small views. So to ask somebody like I'm not even a big channel, to ask somebody like a smaller to medium sized channel like me to basically promote your watch because you either you know, you're not paying the piper in terms of doing your own social media. You're not. I think a YouTuber can help accelerate the hype of a watch. I think unless you Jody at Just One More Watch, I always tell people just try and get Jody to review this watch, because he's the only one I think can build hype, especially around a smaller brand, if the brand isn't hyping it themselves. But I don't know. Chris, what do you think?
There's a flip side to that. So if there is a brand that reaches out to you that doesn't have any content on YouTube, that could be an opportunity for someone like you or someone like me to create a video and be the first to actually, you know, be out there with a video that would get views. Because I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get views, but usually that's kind of the route that you want to go. You want to be the first. So, you know, when Timex come out with a watch, that's why I buy so many Timexes. I want to be the first with that video, because it gets me a lot of views. Why I care about views? I have a day job. I work for a bank. I've been at the same place for 20 years. I've been I'm successful outside of YouTube. I do this because I really love it. I don't know why I feel like I need to get views, but I do. I think it's part of the whole YouTube thing. They kind of brainwash you into thinking that you need to get views. I don't know, but anyway, what it is. But there is an opportunity there. You also have the opportunity to say no, because I get reached out. I get probably similar numbers of brands reaching out to me on a daily basis. I wake up, I look at my emails. There's all these weird brands that reach out to me. There's some ugly watches, and they're just like, you know, we want you to, and you know, we'll lend you a watch. My favorite is they'll be like, we'll lend you a watch for 3 days, and I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks. I don't, you know, three days. I'm just gonna quit my job and make, you know. So I get it. It's a balance. You have to choose the watches, and if you think you could make a video that actually is going to be successful, that's kind of what you're talking about, Jody. That's kind of what he did. You know, he made reviews about watches that no one was really talking about on YouTube, and they were mostly affordable watches that he was able to get in very easily. And you know, at one point I decided, you know, I like affordable watches. I also like, you know, higher end watches. I have higher end. I collect higher end watches. I collect affordable watches. At one point I was just like, you know what, I'm going to start focusing in on higher end watches as well. And I started doing that. They get way less views. I still make the videos. So I do it all the time. I bought my Urwerk 103 last year. I made the video about it. It got like 500 views. I have 160,000 followers. It got 500 views.
See, that's a video I would like to watch.
I find the exact same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's a Rolex, forget it.
It's a kiss of death reviewing a watch that you personally like, I find. You know? Yeah,
unless it's a Rolex or you're saying why another brand sucks. Nobody. And I don't think it's the people. It's certainly just the algorithm not promoting it.
No, yeah. I mean, no one's going to watch this. It's a $32,000 watch.
Right.
It's a very cool watch. It's a Rattrapant Minute, which, you know, no one even knows what the hell that is. It's a learning experience for a lot of people, even for myself. I enjoy it. It's just a cool watch, but no one, I can tell you, I'm going to make this video and I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, and no one's going to watch it. It's fine. I mean, I get it. It's fine.
But there will be people out there that will watch it. Maybe not quantity wise, but if someone is out there, I want to know about this brand, I want to know about this particular watch, your video will be there to educate them and like help them in their research and their knowledge. It's not always about quantity. Like obviously the algorithm gremlins, you do have to take them into consideration. Yeah. But it's, if one person out there wants to know about a watch, your video is there, and you found it enjoyable to own it and learn about it yourself and have that experience with it. So I guess it's the balance.
Yeah, videos are forever, right? I mean, you know, sometimes I'm amazed. Like I'll look back at something I did 3 or 4 years ago that I thought wasn't a great video. And I'm like, wow, that video's got, 240,000 views already. Whatever. It gains, 100 or 300 views a day every day. And it's just kind of just keeps building and building and building. But yeah, no, I totally know what you're both saying. It's like cooking dinner and nobody likes it.
I think it's something that you were saying before, Mark. The camera quality, the photo quality, the video quality, the audio quality. I think that's all secondary. I remember when I was starting out, and I was not starting out. I've been collecting watches for 25 plus years. But when I started looking at watches on the internet and YouTube, specifically YouTube, it was like TGV, Federico Talks Watches, a couple other guys, and the reason why I was going to their channels to see the watches, not to see what they had to say about the watches. I didn't really care all that much. And I still, when I watch a video, I end up watching like a Tim Masso video. I know he's trying to sell me the watch, and I really am not there to look at the watch. And I mean, excuse me, I'm really there to look at the watch. I'm not really there to hear what he has to say about it, because I know that what he has to say about it, it's a sponsored video. Every video is sponsored technically because he's selling that watch. Mm-hmm. And you really should come to my channel and kind of look at it the same way, especially, you should come to my channel. And if there's a watch that you're interested in, you could listen to me, but you should make your own decision. You should, you're trying to see the watch on someone's wrist. You want to see the case back. There's details that maybe the website doesn't have. Those are the things that you should be looking for. That's kind of what I try and put into my videos, and that's really it. I mean, there are people out there who follow channels and religiously take every word that and they think that everything is like gospel from their mouth. And there are people who comment on other channels like my channel and say, well, this person said that. I'm like, well, I don't care.
It kind of amuses me when people say you're when says you're an influencer. I'm an influencer. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just giving you my opinion. If you agree with it, that's great. You don't have to, though. We can all make up our own minds.
But people are influenced by us.
I know.
And they shouldn't be. I agree with you. But people are, I know a lot of people who, Tim Masso, who is an oracle of knowledge when it comes to watches. But there are people, if he says this watch is cool, they will literally go out and spend $10,000, $20,000 on a watch.
Because he said so.
That. I know people like this. Not one, not two. I know many people like this.
Send them to my store, please.
Yeah, right. Especially,
using my affiliate link.
But listen, there's a lot of influence there that he has over these people. Whether or not they should allow that to happen, it is what it is. But all of that is, by the way, again, we talk about this, but watch some of their videos. None of their videos are sponsored. All of it is sponsored, but none of them are marked as sponsored. So this is a little bit another of gray areas. Why is he does all these reviews and stuff like that? It's a watch he is selling. He's being paid to make that video. Why is that not marked sponsored?
Yeah, that's a good point. We've got a load of questions that have come through on the chat or statements. So let me just, if you don't mind, I'll just go through a few. But actually, before that, Lucy, let me ask you a question, because you've recently started working for a brand, haven't you? So you've gone from creator to now working with a brand.
I'm doing both still.
Yeah.
So I've got the balance right. So I'm seeing it from both sides now, which is a really interesting place to be. I mean, I approach it from the watch brand side of things. We can say what we want about the brand. It's our brand. We're going to be seen as biased most of the time. Yeah. So you send it out, you offer it out to content creators and trusted YouTubers, I guess, like yourselves, because they have an audience that trust in their opinions. So you can say what you want about the watches, you have that conversation, and I do it as well as a content creator. I say, if I loan this watch, if I receive this watch, I have to be able to say what I want about it, because there's a trust there with the audience. So I'm ensuring that is their sort of both sides. I can say what I want about the brand. People are going to be like, yeah, but you work for the brand, so you're biased. But those content creators out there, whether you're a small brand or big brand, you're then more trusted in giving your opinions and your thoughts and things that you pick up on it. And it's just a much more trustworthy service to watch enthusiasts out there.
Yeah, no, good point. Okay, let's get through some of these. So, Watch Addict says, I think reviewers in the watch space have drawn unfair comparisons with the tech media industry, where products like phones are given away for free, which have a much lower price point. Entitlement. Think about that one.
Yeah, I listened
I was
to.
gonna
I'm sorry. You go.
Well, just as a side point, and not to, price point is one thing, but the cost of the manufacture of the watch many times is not equating to price point. So to the manufacturer of the watch that has a 20, 30 time price model, it's not necessarily the case. So yes, the phones are, maybe it's $1,000 phone, but you know, I don't know that that's a fair statement by Watch Addict on that one.
Yeah.
Well,
Next one.
Well, I was going to say that the electronics industry, they are notorious. Because let's say they're going to make a TV. Well, they'll send out 100, 200 TVs to reviewers to get reviewed. But I feel like they do it just as a normal course of business. I don't think the review influences their decision to send more. If you're a billion-dollar conglomerate, you don't care. You just keep churning and burning. But when you're a watch company that puts out 10, 20, 30,000 watches a year, maybe that's a little bit different. You only a few $1 million a year business. I just think that there's a very large difference between the two industries. But I do know, like I said, the electronics in the space, they do it like crazy.
Yeah, good point. Cedar Canoe, thanks for being a member. It says, Mark's standpoint is absolutely fair. No brand should be giving away watches in expectation of getting a positive review. I might comment on this one because I think actually I've given sort of objective reviews, and a lot of the brands end up thanking you afterwards because sometimes they're so involved in the design process themselves, can't they? They can't see like flaws in the design,
right?
Or they are looking for feedback. So, yeah,
or they never want to send you a watch again, which has happened to me a few times.
Right. So what is the expectation? My point is, if I give you a watch, I feel that there might be I just feel that you're tainting the honesty of the review, because I think that if you want another one, you're going to give me a good review. It's all about the morals of the reviewer. Jody is very famous for doing the moans and niggles and telling you what's wrong with the watch, and that's excellent. But that's just kind of my, I guess, nearsightedness of the whole thing.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. Like Lucy or Chris can maybe answer this. I if somebody sends me a watch for free, I don't know that I give it that. I give the review a lot of thought, but I don't give a lot of thought to like I should be reviewing this positively because it gets sent in for free, because there's always a next one to review, isn't there? I don't have that much loyalty to the brand, I don't think, to overtly overlook what's to overtly be positive because they sent the watch in for free. Because I think when you get to a certain size, it's not like I think, Mark, your point's correct. When you start out, there is the risk of, oh no, I might not get watches again.
Right.
But I don't
Sure.
feel that pressure at the moment.
Right. If you have a backlog of 40 watches that people want you to review, then there's obviously, this conversation doesn't really apply.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's also a risk, isn't there, of like, I don't know if I've got an example of this. You see it sometimes on TikTok where people have to be more like obtuse in what they say. So, you don't. It's certainly a risk. You don't want to be the brand that is like the scalp for a new reviewer that is just being for being hyperbolic about your watch just to get views.
Right.
I guess you don't want to run that risk.
I want to address this one person. I don't know if they're being a troll or not, but honestly, it's like, earn from flipping the watch, really easy to resolve. That is a bunch of bunk, because it's one of these micro brands. The problem is flipping, it's almost impossible, especially in today's economy. You're going to flip it for $25. So this is not, we're not talking about the same thing here.
Honestly, like I've said this, I work for a big company. I have a very stressful job.
Yeah, me too.
I have a very stressful day job. It demands a lot of my time. I also have 3 kids, And so I have a family. I have a lot of things that I'm involved in general. And someone sending me a watch that I could flip for $100. I guarantee you, if I worked on something else during the 5 hours plus that it takes me to make one video,
you would have made more than
I could tell you from what I get paid from my day job, $100 does not cut it to cover that 5 hours.
Yeah, it's
I'm telling
when
you, I that's it. My day job,
yeah.
I make enough money. I don't need to do this. I don't make money doing it. That's the reason why. So I like doing it. That's the reason why I do it. If someone sends me a watch, I'm not sending it back. But I mean, excuse me. If someone sends me a watch and they want me to send it back, I will send it back. If someone sends it and says I can keep it, I will keep it. And 90% of the time, I struggle with selling them because I kind of don't want to sell them. And when I do, I don't make money selling them anyway. So that's the.
Then there's the time in selling it.
Yes.
Taking pictures of it,
eBay
listing
fees.
it, dealing with all the BS of the back and forth and this and that. That's why I don't sell any watches.
We
Of my
could
own.
have
Insane
a hard-
eBay fee now.
Yeah, the eBay's brutal.
We
eBay's
have a
brutal
conversation
fee.
about eBay and how horrible they are, not only to sellers but buyers as well. But I mean, just it's terrible. And yeah, Random Rob, I've had this conversation. We sat down and had a beer. We talked about this. It's a lose-lose it's a lose-lose situation. So if you're making money doing this, then very, very good. That's great. But you have to be a Teddy Balthazar. You have to have a business behind it. Marc, you know what I mean?
Marc, that's why Marc works. Yeah.
And those guys, it's great. I mean, but if you're doing it as a hobby, keep it as a hobby. That's
He
where
said,
I'm at. Hobby.
Teddy was on I forgot whose channel over the summer. Or whatever he interviewed, and he had said that his YouTube channel runs a net loss.
Yeah,
it's everything else, and you're looking at millions and millions. I don't even know how many total views the guy's had. It's probably over 500 million or something. If that runs a net loss, then this is not. We're not in this to make money. Clearly,
he has employees. He has a studio. And he's been doing this for a while. So, I mean, I'm in the basement of my home. I call it Watch Chris Studios. I mean, it's not really a studio; it's a basement. Because sometimes it floods when it rains really hard. But the thing is, I have invested in video. I'm not a videographer. I really like cameras, but I'm not good at it. And I try and be good at it. Again, it's all part of the hobby for me. Where I buy better cameras, not because it's not for you guys. I want to see it. I want to look at the video and be like, damn, I did a good job on it. That's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I am a bit like that actually as well. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we've got coming through. Watch Addict says, I disagree, Marc. I still prefer your honest and personable videos. I'm not a snob over production quality. It's more of a YouTubers that I trust that I resonate with. Yeah, good point.
great.
Orange Hand says, I can't imagine any YouTuber would be incentivized to review affordable watches if big brands were tossing you a free watch. I don't know if I don't agree with that.
No, I saw this earlier and I just completely disagree with it. There obviously are YouTubers out there which will just go for the bigger brands because they're bigger names. But I think if you're an enthusiast and you're trusted to be, an all-around enthusiast, you review everything from the small to the big brands. I
think there's a lot to be said for reviewing watches well under $100. I mean, look at Russell, the Mad Watch Collector. Yeah. He'll review a Casio, and the freaking video's got 45,000 views in 24 hours. I mean, and if you guys can, the RPM roughly can figure it out. Wow, that's not too shabby.
It's
not paying the mortgage, but it's not too shabby.
His work, because it's personality based. This is really, it's almost less about the watch. I enjoy watching him. He makes me genuinely laugh. My favorite part is the wife review at the end. That's the best part of the
Yeah, it's funny. I joke that the most valuable watch I ever owned was an Invicta Pro Diver, because the one for 500,000 people on YouTube, they know me as the guy who helped them adjust their Invicta Pro Diver bracelet, because that's still my best performing video, was how to adjust an Invicta Pro Diver bracelet. So that watch to me is worth, worth thousands probably over the 5 or 6 years that it's been online. Yeah. Yeah, so here you go. So watch Addict again. So watch Addict, great with all the comments here. We have a humble panel here. Meanwhile, the people who'd like to think of themselves as influencers would be the editors of certain websites that start. Oh, yeah. Anyway,
you didn't read that before you put it up.
I think we've given enough stick to that brand. They're already yeah. Let's just see if we've got any other comments. Watch out. Yeah, a couple of people saying that they watch Russell for the YouTube reviews. Hang on. So here you go. Why don't watch YouTubers use free watches for giveaways or views? Or is that much of a hassle selling them? So this is an interesting point. An absolute gentleman of YouTube, Bobby Legs, does this all the time. If for some reason, Chris, you do this as well, you make a video about I'm giving this watch away for free. Like 3 people will watch it. Like it's the kiss of death, isn't it? For views, for some reason, it's weird.
No, nobody cares.
I wonder why that is.
I started getting so many scammers spamming those videos
in the comments,
and my other videos because of it. I had to take that all off of YouTube. So I do giveaways, but I don't do them on YouTube anymore. And I reach my YouTube audience by posts and stuff like that, because if you make a video about it, it's ridiculous. But I give away watches all the time. So it's part of, a lot of the watches that I receive, I give away.
Yeah, I do. Muhammad Ali, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. Sam, you're being modest after you bought the mint green date. Just Rolex habit hit the mass market. Oh yeah, must have been. Yes,
totally you.
You think I totally influenced people buying that Rolex mint green dial? I'll take that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I give away a bunch as well. In fact, I've got a few there that I'm willing to give away. I like to give them away to like family and friends. I think actually that gives me a lot of joy. I'm being negative about YouTube, but that actually gives me a lot of joy. Is sending watches to friends and family that. Or that I don't know if I said to one of my work colleagues, I gave him a watch and I was like, I don't know if this is a good thing. He's like, oh, thank you for the watch. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm actually giving you the addiction of watch collecting.
Right.
I know I'm the happy owner of a spaghetti Scametti that I got from Sam. He gifted me that. It was a beautiful watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, so that was a good answer about the why don't we give away free watches?
While you're looking, Sam, I want to go back to the very beginning. So, Mark,
please, yeah.
It's not an all or not. It's not 100% rule that you don't give away watches. Is what I understand. You vet who you say like watch Chris. I'll give him one.
So I have. I mean, there's a few instances. Someone, I shall remain nameless, called me out afterwards and said that I have to get off my high horse because you gave me a free watch. And I actually alluded in the video that I had given away a watch for a review. So anyway, I look back in time at all the times I've given away watches. There's a couple I'm not sure if I gave them away or if I gave them for a discount. Case in point, at Windup, Jody from Just One More Watch, we went out to dinner. We had a great time. Him and his business partner, they treated me to dinner. He was walking around the show at the end. He came over. He looked at an Islander, and he takes out his wallet. And I said, "Don't even try." I said, "Just take it." I'm like, freaking guy traveled around the world to be here. They took me to dinner. I said, "Have the watch." There's no, I'm not looking for a review. I'm not looking for anything. And enjoy the watch. Enjoy the watch. You're gonna take it back, take it apart, and make the next Erebus. Hey. Whatever you want to do. But yeah, for sure. If there are people, like I'll find out after the fact that maybe they bought something or, sometimes without telling me, I'm like, well, I'll give you a discount or whatever. It's not really more like a vetting. I would say it's more of a professional courtesy at times.
Okay. Just curious.
So here we've got, any not so obvious advice for a burgeoning new watch brand? Noctura Watch Company. I think that's to you, Mark.
It probably is.
Don't start.
I don't want to say that, but I'm different in the sense that I built the audience first.
Yeah.
I had the audience, and I could do whatever I wanted with the audience. I could, besides at the time, the 100,000 plus subscribers that I had, the 50, 60, 70,000 email addresses that I had, and the website traffic. It's just very different. I would not want to start a brand having all that stuff. If I did, I know it would never be what it is today. It would be a hell of a lot more difficult. I think that the best thing you could do is find your differentiator and exploit it. Whatever makes you different, you have to just exploit that, and hopefully it catches on.
Yeah, because you did. I think when you released Islander watches, it was like a logical progression, wasn't it? Because you were known for. I think I found you because you were selling SKX 009s when that market was going high, and then you then moved into, actually this watch isn't really specs wise, could be a lot better. And I remember you had like a modding service. Yep. I think you sold parts first, and then you had a modding service, didn't you?
You're on point.
Yeah, and then the next logical move was like, okay, well, we can kind of mod this thing to death, or this I think is the ultimate version of this watch. With
people would spend like $500-$600 to mod to buy an SKX from me that had a different chapter ring, bezel, sapphire, blah 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 blah. So it was kind of once I found out the SKX was being discontinued, that was the progression in order to fill the void of the revenue that was going to go away.
Yeah, so you kind of built it was like a multi-year process, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, but it was a multi-year process. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I was just driving. The car, and wherever it was leading me, it was leading me. I was just trying. I was trying to make money. I mean, that's all I've ever tried to do, and just try different things. And eventually, Seiko did me the favor of discontinuing the SKX because it forced me to start a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Random Rob did a funny comment. He's put, "Is it involuntary influencer?"
Aye.
Maybe we should all do that. So then Jody is good at saying what's not great about watches. That is paid to promote. I tend to trust that approach a little bit more. Okay, let's see if we've got any other. Just thanking you for the free advice there. Awesome. Okay. So I don't know. I think you. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. I think you answered a lot of my questions. But did the rest of the panel have any other questions for Mark about the upload or about the business?
Don't all shout at once. I'll say, watch Chris. You influenced me. Just so you know, I had no idea about the Christopher Ward desk diver. And I bought one. I think literally before you were done with like 90 seconds of your video, I was like, I gotta buy it. They're gonna sell out. And I bought it. And I think it's supposed to come I think it was supposed to come on Friday. I don't think it got here though. So maybe it comes tomorrow. I'm very excited.
It pulled out pretty quickly.
Yeah. How many did they make?
I should know that, but
it was like
500. It was Lucy. You reviewed this as well. Yeah, you got hold of one as well.
Yeah, I did. I had one to loan. I got free stationery out of it.
They let you keep the post-it notes.
They let me keep the post-it notes.
That's awesome.
And a highlighter.
I'm looking forward to it.
I got the highlighter.
Honestly, I was very thrilled with the stationery. I love stationery.
I like stationery.
So Lucy's a complete sellout, is what we just found out. Okay.
Yes, sell out for a pack of post-it notes and a few.
I stated it very clearly on the video. I was like, "This is a loan."
Yeah,
stationery.
Did you mark that sponsored? Because I didn't. I have the stationery, but I don't think did they say that we could keep the stationery? I don't remember. I think I just forgot to put it back in the box. You're
gonna get sued for post-it notes. Yeah,
no,
I'll send it back to you. I don't. It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, Christopher Ward's like a good example of this, isn't it? That they don't. I mean, for many years, I reviewed them. Everything was, it was similar to you, Mark. They would send me the label. They would send the watch and then send the label. And then,
See, it's an interesting. That's like an interesting thing to me. I feel like almost they're big enough that they don't need that.
To go back to, I think. Oh, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying they still need reviews. Maybe they do.
I think they do. Yeah.
Interaction.
I guess everyone needs reviews.
I think the difference goes back to that price model thing I was talking about before, though. I'm the huge Christopher Ward fan, and their 3-time price model. Now we're talking about giving away an expensive watch.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very different proposition for somebody like them,
right.
Who also doesn't produce as many watches per year. I know they're climbing, but that's a different paradigm, I think, than a different larger watch company.
Right.
Yeah. Also, they do need reviewers because other than watch shows, I think they don't
no
sell
real
it.
Publicity.
Yeah. They don't sell it like retail location. I mean, they've got that new showroom in Dallas now that they've opened.
Yeah.
So, Mike Pearson's running that, so they've got that one going. But
got the head office in Maidenhead as well. But there's so many online brands now that you just cannot get your hands on physically. So offering them to loan for, to keep to reviewers. Yeah, okay, you giving away a watch, but also you're getting content from it. People are seeing your watch. People are actually getting some hands-on knowledge from someone they trust.
Sure.
Lucy, you should totally plug your brand that you work for. Like we haven't done the.
I work for a Glaswegian independent called Paulin Watches. They're the sister brand to Anne Ordain, which some of you guys might know as well. Very cool, fun watches, yeah. And again, like from both sides, I was a big fan of Paulin beforehand, but you never get your hands on them. And a lot of the watches I review on my channel as well, they're online. You can't get your hands on them. So actually being able to physically spend some time with them, that having it in your hand for like a couple of minutes when you're at a watch show is very different to like spending a week or two with the watch. Chris, I'm sure you can appreciate it as well.
I bought one from, I think it was from MoMA.
Yeah.
When I couldn't get one through I tried to find them online, they sold out, and then I was in the city and I knew they carried them, so I went in there and I bought one. And I mean they're great. It's one of those things, like for someone who is interested in one of those watches, where are you going to go see it? And it's a really good opportunity for a brand like Paulin to send them out to a YouTuber who's going to make a video about it, and you're going to be able to see it, short of going to visit the brand or sometimes, at a watch show like the Wind Up Watch show, one in New York that just happened, and they're happening all over the place now. But it's a really good opportunity to be able to see them, and that's kind of the reason why. So I never saw one in hand. I looked at reviews online, and then I went out and bought one. But that's how I did it.
Renders never do watches justice, really.
No.
I think actually seeing them in real life, like in influencers taking wrist shots and videos, are a lot more realistic than renders online.
Yeah, Seiko's awful.
And the reason why is because I wanted, the other part of it is I wanted my audience to see it as well. So I wanted to get one in, and that's what so that's all part of it.
Awesome. Well, guys, that was that. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Lucy, thanks for joining us. Chris,
thank you.
And Todd, thank you for joining everyone. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being so active in the comment section. If you're watching this afterwards, let us know your opinion in the comment section down below, and we'll see you next week on Casual Watch Talk Sunday Social. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.